Good evening. How are you doing today?
Good evening. I'm fine.
All right. So let's start with the class. Today we're going to talk about adverbs of frequency. It's like when you ask how many times a day you do some activities. All right. So first, for the first minutes, 5 minutes, I'm going to show you some activities that we usually do every day. And you're going to tell me if you know the vocabulary or not. All right.
Okay.
So let's start with that vocabulary here. Okay. So I'm going to show you the photos, the pictures, and you're gonna start letting me know if you know them or not. So let's start with this one. What about this activity?
And you wake up,
Wake up, very good. What about this one?
you take a shower,
Yes, he's taking a shower. Excellent. What is this guy doing?
brush a teeth,
He's brushing his teeth. Remember that
brushing his teeth,
you between consonants usually sounds like an ah, brushing his teeth. Very good. What about this one?
is shaving,
Shaving. Very, very good. What about this guy? What is he doing?
is combing a hair,
He's combing his hair. Excellent. And what is this woman doing to the girl?
is brush her hair,
Yes, very good. He's brushing her hair. And this woman, what is she doing?
is put on makeup,
She's putting on some makeup.
putting
Excellent.
on some makeup,
Excellent. Very good. What about this guy?
is getting dressed,
He's getting dressed. Very, very good. What about this boy?
is making the bed,
He's making the bed. Excellent. Very good. And this man, what is the man doing?
is a bath,
He's having a bath. Excellent. That's awesome. Very good. You know the vocabulary. What about here?
is cooking breakfast,
He's cooking breakfast. All right. There you go. What are they doing?
they are having breakfast,
They're having breakfast. Awesome. Very good. Let's continue with the vocabulary. These two guys, what are they doing in common? What are they doing? What is he doing?
going to work,
He's going to work. They are moving from one place to another, right? And what about the boy?
the boy going to school,
The boy is going to school. They are walking, right? They're walking to school and he's walking to work, but they are going to work and going to school. That's it. What about this guy?
this guy going to bed,
He's going to bed. Excellent. And what is he going to do on the bed?
sleeping,
He's going to sleep on the bed. Excellent work. Very good. Let's go with some other vocabulary here very quickly. What about this one? She's a teacher and he's a student, like you and I. What are they doing?
is teaching,
She's teaching, right? They are having a class. They're having a lesson. Very, very good. And here,
is reading a book,
he's reading a book. These all are activities that we usually do every day. And these boys, these children, sorry,
they are playing,
they're playing. And what is this girl doing?
is drawing,
She's drawing. Very good. And what about this girl? She's having a good time.
is listening to music.
She's listening to music. Excellent. And this guy, he perhaps loves rock and roll. Look at his hand. Yeah, rock and roll.
Is adding, killing,
He's doing his homework, right?
doing his homework.
Yes, and it's math homework. All right. What about this guy here on the computer?
Is surfing in the internet.
He's surfing the net. He's surfing the internet. Very good. What about this one?
Is doing exercise.
He's doing exercise. Excellent. So these are activities that we usually do every day. So now for the next minute, we're going to see some explanation about what are adverbs of frequency. All right. So let's start with this. Tell me if you can see my screen. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So this is me, Juan Camilo Rojas. So we're going to talk about adverbs of frequency. So let's answer the question. What are adverbs of frequency? Any idea?
Um,
No idea? That's okay. Don't worry about it. So adverbs of frequency are words that we use to describe how often, how many times we do an action. Okay, how often an action occurs. So for this, we're going to use these words: always, usually, often, generally, sometimes, rarely, seldom, hardly ever, and never. And as you can see, they go decreasing the percentage that these actions happen. So when something happens all the time, 100% of the time, we say you always. And when something never happens or 0% of the time, we say never. Hardly ever would be, maybe this word is hard for you to understand. Hardly ever would be in Spanish.
First,
Casi siempre, right? So as you can see, they are increasing or decreasing. So let's continue with this. We can also use these kind of expressions. If you do something one time a day, you say once a day. If you do it 2 times a day, you say twice a day or 2 times a day. If we do something only one time a week, we can say once a week. All right. So how would you say, for example, 3 veces al mes?
3 times a month.
3 times a month. Fantastic. That's very good. What about if you do something only one every year?
Every year. Once a year.
Once a year, exactly. So you just have to say once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and the time of the time period, right? A day, a week, a month, a year. So let's do some exercises with some activities that we usually do. So how often do you take selfies?
Twice a week.
Once a week. How often do you run?
Once a day.
Once a day. Usually running to work, right? How often do you drink coffee?
Twice a day.
Twice a day. Excellent. All right. So let's build up some vocabulary with some more exercises. So I'm going to ask you, how often do you do these activities? All right. How often do you get a haircut?
Three times a year.
3 times a year. Very good. How often do you eat out?
Every weekend.
Every weekend. Very good. How often do you wash your hair?
3 times a week.
3 times a week. How often do you go to the dentist?
Twice a year.
Twice a year. Very good. They actually say that you must go to the dentist at least once a year, right? Let's go with the next one. How often do you clip your nails?
Once a month.
Once a month. Excellent. How often do you eat fast food?
Once a weekend.
Once every weekend?
Every week.
All right. Yeah, so do I. How often do you go to the cinema, to the movies?
Once a month.
Once a month. All right. How often do you drink a beer or some beers?
Twice a month.
Twice a month. All right. Like every other weekend, isn't it? Every other weekend. All right. So now it's time for you to ask me, how often do I do some activities? So feel free to ask whatever you want. How often do you? I want to listen to you.
Um, how often do you teach English?
Uh, every day? Yeah, almost every day, except for Sundays.
Okay. And how often do you drink coffee?
Once a day. Sometimes I skip it. I don't drink coffee. But yeah, at least once a day.
And how often do you shave?
That would be once a week. One more. Come on, you can do it.
Hmm. How often do you drink beers?
Once, once every I mean, twice a month, probably. Yeah, twice a month. Let me ask you some questions. How often do you visit your boyfriend?
Um, every weekend.
Every weekend. All right, there you go. So those are the adverbs of frequency. So for now, we're going to watch a video, all right, where we can see a man answering some questions about how often he does some activities. So after that, I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to ask the questions to you. All right. So first of all, we're going to see the man as answering the questions. It's going to be like 25 questions really fast. And we just have to pay attention to the questions. All right. Let me know if you can see the screen. Yes.
Yes.
And let me know if you can listen to the audio.
Hello, I'm going to ask you 20.
Yes.
Right. All right. So let's go ahead. So as I told you, we're going to listen to the video. Just pay attention to it. We're going to be quiet for the 2 minutes. And then I'm going to ask you the same questions to you. All right. There we go.
Hello, I'm going to ask you 25 how often do you questions. Please answer quickly and with one sentence. Here we go. How often do you eat junk food?
Once a week.
How often do you read a book?
Never.
How often do you go shopping?
Never.
How often do you do laundry?
Once a week.
How often do you cook?
Once a day.
How often do you exercise?
Every day.
How often do you call your mom?
Once a week.
How often do you check your phone?
Every 15 minutes.
How often do you order delivery food?
Twice a week.
How often do you go to the movies?
Once a month.
How often do you play mobile games?
Never.
How often do you skip breakfast?
Never.
How often do you visit America?
Once every 2 years.
How often do you drink coffee?
Never.
How often do you take a shower?
Twice a day.
How often do you travel?
Once a month.
How often do you post to social media?
Every day.
How often do you take a nap?
Every day.
How often do you listen to music?
Every day.
How often do you eat chocolate?
Once a week.
How often do you change your hairstyle?
Never.
How often do you sleep in?
Twice a week.
How often do you cry?
Never.
How often do you take a walk?
Every day.
How often do you drink alcohol?
Once every 2 weeks.
Thank you for sharing your answers.
All right. When he was asked how often does he take a shower, I thought he was going to say never for some reason. All right. Now I'm going to do the same with you. I'm going to ask the questions. So there we go. I'm going to stop and pause the video every now and then. All right. So how often do you eat junk food?
Every weekend.
All right. How often do you read a book?
Two, two books a year.
2 books a year. All right. How often do you go shopping?
3 times a week.
3 times a week. How often do you do the laundry?
Twice a week.
Twice a week. How often do you cook?
Once a day.
All right. Twice, right? You said twice a day or once.
Once.
All right. Once a day. How often do you exercise?
Never.
All right. That's honest. How often do you call your mom?
Once a day.
All right. Let's continue with this. How often do you check your cell phone?
Every 20 minutes.
Every 20 minutes. Okay. How often do you order delivery food?
Never.
Okay. How often do you go to the movies?
Once a month.
Once a month. All right.
Once.
How often do you play mobile phones?
Never.
Never. How often do you skip breakfast?
Where's the meaning is skip?
What is the meaning of skip?
What is the
All right.
meaning?
All right. Yes. What is the meaning of skip? Skip is to do not do it. In this case, we're talking about breakfast. So that day in particular, you are not going to eat breakfast. So you like kind of like jumping. You don't do it. All right.
Okay.
So how often do you skip breakfast?
Early ever.
Hardly ever. All right. You remember that expression. Hardly ever. How often do you visit America?
United States.
Yes, that's the United States.
Never.
Never. How often do you drink coffee?
Twice a day.
All right. How often do you take a shower?
Twice a day.
Twice a day. All right. Especially when it's really hot like these days, isn't it?
Yes.
How often do you travel?
Every weekend.
Every weekend. How often do you post to social media?
Never.
Okay. How often do you take a nap?
Where is the meaning? A nap. Nap.
Okay. A nap is when you take when you go to sleep for a short period, like for 15 minutes, half an hour, sometimes even an hour. Just a short time when you go to sleep to recover your strength. All right. So how often do you take a nap?
Never.
Never. Okay. Do you understand nap in Spanish, isn't it? What would be nap in Spanish?
La siesta.
Very good. There you go. How often do you listen to music?
Uh, every day.
Every day. How often do you eat chocolate?
Once a month.
Once a month. Okay. How often do you change your hairstyle?
4 times a year.
4 times in a year. Okay. How often do you sleep in? Do you know what sleep in is? Maybe do you have
No.
not really? Okay. Sleep in is when you stay longer in bed than you should. Like when it comes a Sunday, for example, when it's a Sunday, we usually stay longer, right? We don't wake up right away. We stay in. You stay more
Okay.
times in bed, even though you don't get up, but you're still in bed. That is sleeping. So how often do you sleep in?
Every Sundays.
Every Sunday. There you go. So do I. How often do you cry?
Never.
Never? Not even a little bit?
No.
No?
Never.
All right. How often do you walk?
Every day.
How do you usually go to work? I mean, I'm asking you because it sounds like you go to work on foot. You go walking,
Yes.
right? Okay. So you walk to work every day.
Yes.
How often do you drink alcohol?
Twice a month.
Twice a month. All right. And what do you usually like to drink?
Beer.
Beer? Yeah, so do I. I love beer. And
Wine.
sometimes wine, yes. I usually drink beer every or twice a month. Yeah. All right. So there you go. Now we're going to play with a game that I have here. And this game is called Spin Wheel. And the activity is to ask some questions randomly. Random means al azar, like the spinning wheel. So you have to tell me how often do you do something, all right? Are you watching my screen right now? Are you?
Yes.
Yes, all right. So how often do you sweep the floor?
Once a week.
Once a week. All right. Let's make some turns. I'm going to ask you some questions and then I let you to ask me the same questions. All right. So first of all, I'm going to ask you the questions. Got it? Got it? Yeah. Do you understand? All right.
Got it.
Very good. How often do you do the laundry?
Twice a week.
Twice a week. All right. Let's spin it. How often do you clean the windows?
Once a month.
Once a month. All right. How often do you cook?
Once a day.
Once a day. Excellent. How often do you wash the dishes?
Once a day.
Once a day. Excellent. Now let's take some turns and you are going to ask me the questions. All right?
Okay. How often do you mop the floor?
Once a week, especially on Sundays? One more time, please.
How often do you vacuum the floor?
Yeah, vacuum is, as you can see, this machine here, the vacuum is a aspiradora, all right? So how often do you vacuum the floor is how often do you aspirar, all right? Never, because we don't have a vacuum cleaner. Okay, one more time.
How often do you hang your clothes up?
Every week, once a week, especially on Thursdays, every Thursday. Okay, one more.
How often do you clear the table?
Every day. All right, now I'm going to ask you. All right. How often do you dust the furniture? You know what dust is? Maybe you can see the image. She has like a brush and
Clear?
is exactly. So how often do you dust the furniture?
Once a week.
Once a week. Excellent. There you go. One more time. How often do you set the table? Set the table is the opposite of clear the table. You have to put the dishes on the table with the napkins and the glasses. You are like organizing the table. How often do you set the table?
Once a day.
Once a day. All right. One more. How often do you water the plants?
Never, because I don't have plants.
Okay, you don't have plants, so you never water the plants. That's right. Okay. Here at home, my mom usually does that. She waters the plants. Okay.
I don't like it.
You don't like it? All right, now it's your turn to ask me.
How often do you iron your clothes?
Never, as you can see.
Okay.
All right, one more.
How often do you take the trash out?
Once once a week, because my mom usually does that also. She usually takes the trash every 2 days.
Okay.
All right, now I'm going to ask you, how often do you do the shopping?
Hmm, 3 or 4 times a week.
All right, 3 or 4 times a week. How often do you clip your nails? Clip is a synonymous of cat. As you can see, this device here, this device is called a clipper, a nail clipper. That's why they use this clip. Is it synonymous of cat, right? So how often do you clip your nails?
Once a month.
Once a month. All right. Now you're going to ask me these 4 questions. All right.
How often do you take the dog for a walk?
Well, never, because I don't have a dog. One more, yeah.
How often do you wash toilet?
Like the toilet, like, yeah, twice a year. Twice a year.
Twice a year?
Yeah, twice a year. Yeah, my mom is usually in charge of doing that, so that's why. But if
Okay.
when I was living alone, I usually did it every weekend.
Every weekend.
Yeah. All right. One more.
How often do you make the bed?
Every day, every morning after I wake up. And I'm going to ask you the last one. How often do you clean your room?
Hmm. Once a week?
Once a week. All right. So do I. I clean my room once a week. Okay, now we're going for the next 10 minutes. We're going to talk about some more daily routines, and we're going to talk about how, what time do you usually do them? Okay. But before we continue doing that, I'm going to show you an image very quickly. I know that you know already how to tell the time, but I want to review that in order to do this exercise. Okay, so give me a second. I'm going to share with you this image, and we're going to review how to tell the time in English before we continue with the next activity. All right. So,
Right.
as you remember from the last class that we took, we saw, you can use these words when the minute hand is on this side of the clock. All right. And you can use the word to when the minute hand is on the other side of the clock. All right. So I'm going to show you some examples, and I know that you're going to tell me what time is it. For example, what time is it?
It's 4 past 5.
It's 5 past 4. Remember that we
Five
say,
past four.
yeah, if we read it, we have two ways to read it. Let me try to remind you this. If we read it from this side, we call or we say first the minute and then the hour. Okay. If we read it from this side, we're going to say first the hour and then the minutes. So it's going to be like this. If you read it from this side, you're going to say it's 4:05 actually. And if you read from this side, you're going to say it's 5 past 4. Okay.
5 past 4.
Yeah. What about this hour? What time is it?
10 past 5.
10 past 5. Excellent. Or 5:10. All right. And so on and so on with that. I think I'm sure that you can remember that right now. What time is it, for example, here? What time is it?
It's 20 past 6.
20 past 6. Excellent. Let's go to the other side of the clock. So here we're going to tell the minutes that are left to the next hour. For example, in this case, what time is it?
5 to
The next hour. 5 to 6.
5
Remember?
to 6.
5 to 6, right?
Yes.
Like we would say in Spanish, 5 para las 6. 5 to 6.
5 to 6.
All right, very good. What about this one? What time is it?
10 to 12.
Excellent. There you go. You remember that. 10 to 12. And also, if we have a quarter, we would say a quarter past and the hour. And if we have a quarter to, we say quarter to and the next hour. Let's take a quick look to those, and then you tell me what time is it. So what time is it?
2:45.
A quarter to 3. Excellent. Very, very good. And what time is it? What time is it?
12:15.
Quarter past 12. There you go. So you remember this. All right, let's go to the exercise that I was telling you about. Okay, we're going to talk about some daily activities, and then we can talk about the time. So let me spin this, and I'm going to show you what I meant. So for example, what time do you usually go back home after work? What time do you usually go back home?
at 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock. Excellent. There you go. That's what I want to listen to. All right, let's go with the next one. What time do you watch TV?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Okay. How often do you watch TV?
Once a day.
Once a day. Excellent. There you go. You remember that. Excellent. This is a good class. All right. So I'm going to be switching between the time and how often. Okay. What time do you usually have breakfast?
Sometimes I have breakfast at 9 o'clock.
At 9 o'clock. All right. And how often do you have breakfast? Every day?
Hardly
Remember, how often?
never.
Hardly never. Hardly ever.
Hardly ever.
All right. You should have breakfast. It's important for you. No, I'm kidding because I usually skip breakfast as well. How often do you do homeworks?
Once a day.
And what time do you usually do your homework?
8 o'clock.
All right, at 8 o'clock at night, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. So now I want you to ask me what time and how often do I do the activity. All right. I want to listen to you.
How often do you go to work?
Never, because I work online. So I'm working from home.
What time do you start
You start.
work?
Yes, I usually start work at 8 o'clock. All right, very good. One more time, please.
How often do you wake up?
Every day. That was
What
funny.
the time?
What time? Yes. What time I usually wake up at around 7 o'clock. That was funny. Okay, one more. We still have time.
How often do you go to bed?
Every day, every night.
Obviously.
Obviously, yes.
What time usually do you go to bed?
I usually go to bed at midnight. Okay, there you go. So it depends on the question, right? We usually go to bed, so we don't ask how often do you go to bed because we always go to bed. The same like waking up. How often do you wake up? Obviously, every day we wake up. All right, let's do one more. We still have 1 minute before the time is over. I'm going to ask you, what time do you usually get up?
I usually get up 7
At 7 o'clock? All right.
in the morning.
All right, yeah. One more. Let's see. What time do you usually start working?
At 8 o'clock.
At 8 o'clock. All right. So that's all for today, Carolina. Thank you very much for your attention. This is a free class on Zoom, so I only have 40 minutes to do the class. Thank you very much for being here with me.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Bye.